the presenters of A Guide to Surviving and Thriving at CUNY. But first, let me just go over a bit of housekeeping. If you require closed captioning, you can select the small the toolbar either at the bottom or top of your screen. You are welcome to rename yourselves for identification purposes by choosing the 3 small dots or ellipses box in Zoom, and then selecting rename. At the same time, you can also add your pronouns if you so choose. I will now give the floor to Deb.
Sherry, you went out there at the end, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and introduce myself. Sherry's having a little bit of a technical difficulties, but thank you, Sherry. Happy to be here today. My name is Patty Lamberson. I'm the Deputy Director for Healthy CUNY. Healthy CUNY is an initiative. We're based at the CUNY Graduate School of Public Health and Health Policy, but we work across all of CUNY campuses to understand and to intervene where we can in some of the health and social issues that get in the way of academic success. And the major areas of work where we are focused now are in food security, mental health, healthcare access, health insurance, and also sexual and reproductive health, including parenting. So these are some of the issues that we've identified that can get in the way of a student's ability to succeed in school, to reach their academic goals. And so we do what we can. We have some programming and policy recommendations that we work on to try to help students to get beyond those barriers. So today I'm here with one of our SPH grad students, Fanny Sampson, who is a team leader for our Healthy CUNY advocates. And if you're interested in learning about that, I can tell you a little bit more about that. I can put my email in at the end. But today we're here to talk about the Guide to Surviving and Thriving at CUNY. This guide is a resource guide that was put together originally by a group of students and faculty and staff from CUNY SPH in the summer of 2020, right in the beginning of the pandemic, when everybody was locked down and we didn't have a vaccine yet, and we were all kind of trying to figure out what we can do to help students to navigate this difficult time. Fanny, actually, if you could go to the next slide. So this is just, these are some of the original authors. There's me at the top in the middle with my hair shorter. Dr. Freudenberg is the director, the faculty director and founder of Healthy CUNY. And some of our SPH students, and there were some other faculty members too that aren't in the photo. But we all got together and over that summer and in the fall put together this resource guide. And it was really student-driven, student-run. There were teams of students that worked together to put together these resources. And we wanted it to be something that was by students for students, because who knows better what the issues are and what the helpful resources are than students themselves. And so I, as staff and the faculty members, really just guided the process. You could go to the next one, Fanny. So the guide, if you've seen it, it's on our website, and I encourage everybody to take a look. It's at www.healthycuny.org /
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Surviving and Thriving. And you can check it out. And today's presentation is really just to kind of give you an overview of the guide, let you know a little bit about what some of the resources are that are in the guide, and give you some ideas about how to use it. So it can be a little overwhelming. It's almost 100 pages, and it was actually, it's shortened. It was longer than that in the first version. But what we recommend is just starting, with the problem that you're facing now. If you're feeling stressed out or anxious or depressed, or you are looking for food resources, look into the title page and just click on that resource rather than, going, you don't have to go read the whole thing cover to cover, I guess, in other words. And we also really encourage students and faculty and staff to use the guide to offer support to your peers or to your students, and to put it in your in your syllabus, or put it in share it with your friends. But another purpose of the guide too is really to encourage all of us to become advocates for ourselves and for our peers, and to share resources and really try to help each other out, especially during difficult times. So, and the guide has 7 sections. You can go to the next slide. These are the sections, and in the guide, not on the slide, but in the guide, you can click on each of the titles to go right to that section. And then there's all kinds of links and resources within those sections. You can, Fanny, you can go to the next one. And oh yeah, so I'll tell you, but you can go within the sections. You can go back and forth, use it as you see fit. But we just want to sort of give you an idea. And also just so you know that I talked a little bit about how the guide came to be, but we based a lot of our recommendations, and the data that you'll find throughout the guide is based on a survey that we conducted at Healthy CUNY in spring of 2020 on the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on CUNY students. And then we did a repeat follow-up survey in spring of 2021. So you'll see throughout the guide some data from those surveys, and just on this slide, just the top reason why students reported that they were having a decreased ability to do their schoolwork was because of their emotional and mental state. Depression, anxiety was very high at that point in 2020, and it decreased slightly in 2021, but it's still, an issue, and, due to the isolation and many students reported PTSD, there were, it's still an issue for many students. So the resources are still relevant, and we hope that you'll find the guide useful. Also, just to say that, the going online, students going from, if you remember, it seems like almost a lifetime ago, but going from being in person, and then all of a sudden everything went online, and we were all scrambling as to learn. How are we going to learn? How are we going to get by in this sort of all remote world? And for many students, they reported that it actually helped them. It opened up new possibilities, and I think that's still the case. I don't think we're going to go back completely to the way that we were. It does definitely opens up possibilities, but for other students, they were isolated, had to juggle family responsibilities and connectivity, Wi-Fi connectivity problems and all of that. And it made it very difficult for many students to succeed during that time academically. So there was definitely a range of reactions, and you'll see some of that throughout the guide as well. So I think I'm going to turn it over next to Fanny Sampson, and I want to thank Fanny is one of our star graduate students from CUNY SPH, who's been working on this and other projects with Healthy CUNY for the past year or so. And Fanny, take it away.
Thank you so much, Betty. So I'm going to run through the guide. I think it's really important to state that we have plenty of resources in the guide. So these are only some of them that I'm going to be showing or talking to you about. But please, if you are looking for anything specific, go and take a look at the guide more closely, because there are so many resources that just couldn't fit in this presentation. So the first chapter is Succeeding in School. So here I'm going to show you some of the information that is included in this chapter. And it's really important to know that in spring 2020, as Patty said, about 54% of students reported that changes to online learning had affected their ability to do schoolwork. And I believe in many other areas, their life was also affected. So here we can see guidance and recommendations on how to reach out to your professors. There are email templates included, how to reach out not only to professors, but how to find a student group who would be able to support your studies, or how to connect with students who you may have never met in person before. There are also some resources for online learning, how to use certain applications such as Coursera or EducationX. There are some tips for fostering more productive work environment, both physically and mentally. I believe many of us was struggling with this at the beginning of the pandemic, just to adjust, how to work from home, especially those of us who have people at home, and how to find peace and quiet corner in our apartment. So, for example, make a to-do list and how to be more productive at home, using a calendar to map out timely study, keep a neat and organized work area if possible, create a schedule with your housemates if you live with multiple people, or if you are on different schedules with those people around you. Combating procrastination and anxiety and writer's block. I think also many of us, especially at a graduate school, can relate to this. There are also tips that are very useful on how to support ourselves and each other when we are facing these challenges. As I mentioned before, there are also tech resources, Zoom tips and Blackboard tips. Again, for those of us who were not familiar with these outlets before, and we immediately needed to learn as soon as we, moved online. These are the resources and support that you can find if you need any of these. Communicating with CUNY professors and administration. Again, many of us have trouble with reaching out to professors who we never spoke in person before, or as you can see here, how to schedule a meeting, requesting an extension, asking for a letter of recommendation. I specifically had some challenges with asking for recommendations, especially from people, again, who I never met before in person, or whose class I only took online, and we never even had a Zoom meeting before. So there are some really useful tips when it comes to these issues. What if I'm thinking about dropping out? I think this is a really important part of the guideline, the booklet, because many of us has faced these questions before, especially in the first half of the pandemic. So I believe this is a very useful information that was included in the guide. Just, before you completely drop out, these are the steps that you should be taking, and these are the steps that might support you and might prevent you from dropping out. Overcoming mental health challenges. Almost half of Healthy CUNY Spring 2020 survey responded reported the increased need for mental health services to help cope with stress, anxiety, depression due to the pandemic. A year later, in 2021, the follow-up survey showed only 25% students who received counseling from mental health professionals since the start of the pandemic. Here we can see the comparison of 2018 and 2020, feeling anxious and nervous, not being able to stop worrying, feeling down, or having little interest or pleasure doing things. The difference between 2018 survey and the 2020 survey is huge. So a year later, after the pandemic had subsided but not ended, a resurvey of a sample showed that the rate for this group had decreased. Isolation and PTSD are of concern. I would like to talk a little bit about signs and symptoms of everyday stress. Many of us, unfortunately, had faced these during the pandemic, and many of us are still struggling with some of them. So, headaches, dizziness, problems of sleeping, increased worrying. There are also resources included in the guide for any of these, or if you are experiencing any of these problems. Signs and symptoms of depressive disorder. These are a little more severe, and there are also resources included in the guide. How to convince someone you care about to seek mental health support. This is a very important thing as we transition to online learning. It's even more important for us to keep in touch with each other and to support each other. So it can be tough to decide whether you need to seek help for depression, anxiety, or high level of stress, but it can be even tougher to convince someone else, someone you care about or love, that they need help. Mental health professionals suggest that these tips for discussing the issue with a friend or family member, such as being honest or gentle, don't give up too easily, show them you care, show them your support, ask permission first, stick to facts, and choose the right time and place to talk to them. There are more mental health resources included in the guide, such as tips for meditations, peer support groups, partner violence and child abuse, substance use, suicide prevention. So there are multiple resources included in the guide. So please take a deeper look, and you will be able to find those in there. To talk a little bit more about suicide prevention, warning signs of suicide in yourself, friends, and family, talking about wanting to die, talking about or feeling hopeless or feeling like a burden to others, increased use of drugs and alcohol, change of sleeping habits, withdrawing oneself, showing extreme mood swings. So crisis line is text CUNY to the number here. And there is also another resource, which is MICUL mental health referral and crisis resource. So you are also be able to call this number or share this with anyone who you think they might need. Protecting your health. This is also a really important part to talk about COVID vaccination, healthcare resources, health insurance, how to get health insurance, when do you need it, what's the price for it, and just, overall staying healthy. So before I move on, I want to ask if there are any questions or anything that you would like to add. If there is nothing, you can also put your, questions as I go in the chat. So I will continue with the health part. So first of all, as you may know, COVID-19 vaccine is an important part of our life these days. So the vaccine saved millions of lives each year. They were by prompting the body's natural immune system to recognize and fight off the virus, in this case, the coronavirus, if it enters the body at any point. It is recommended that you get the COVID-19 vaccine, even if you already had the disease, since it's not yet known how long one's natural immunity will last. Even if you are young and healthy, it is important to get vaccinated to protect those around us who are more vulnerable to the illness, or, older people or newborns or people with health condition like diabetes or lung disease. So in the guide, you can also find resources where you can get more information about COVID-19 vaccine and anything COVID-19 related. There are also some healthcare resources. So healthcare resources include medication, facilities, and healthcare workers needed to provide health services. Access to healthcare resources is important. Maintain good health, prevent diseases, and manage chronic conditions. Students should have access to these resources to reach their full potential academically. So again, there are way more information in the guide if you are in need of any of these resources. Healthcare resources, as I said, these are the ones, just a few of those that are included in there. So testing sites, symptoms, public health services, NYC Health and Hospitals, which is NYC Care, and I'm about to talk a little bit more in depth about that program. So many of us are struggling with health insurance and healthcare. However, it's a very important part, especially while we are in school. This should be the last thing that we need to worry about. So I'm going to share some of the resources that we have, especially at Healthy CUNY right now, that is available for CUNY students. And there's also way more information in the guide. So please, again, take a look at those. So when you are looking for health insurance, these are the most common questions that come up. So step one is to figure out what you need. How much money you can afford per month. How much care do you think you will need? Is there a specific issue that you need to see the doctor with? What services you want to access, and are there any specific doctors, as I said, that you need to see? So the CUNY Guide to Health Insurance and Healthcare, it's available at our website. I believe it's also available at the Graduate School of Public Health. And I am going to copy the link into the chat. So if anyone is interested, please save this.
I got it, Fanny.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So there is a lot of information in this guide as well. It's very detailed. It explains most of the things that people need to know about health insurance. What are premiums? What is a deductible? What is a copayment? What is a network? How you can find a provider? How you choose a provider? And step 2 and step 3 is to choose a plan and provider and enroll. Sorry. So in the guide, there is a detailed explanation of how to compare plans, especially for those of us who are not very much familiar with the process. It further explains the above stated terms such as premium, deductible, out-of-network coverage, and what those things really mean when you are, picking a plan. However, as I said, the New York City Health and Hospitals, NYC Care is an option for many students. And this is also something that's available for undocumented students. So, if you are interested, please take a look at this. You can also scan the QR code or look it up at the New York City Health and Hospitals website. And I see Patty posting it in the chat. So please copy the link and take a deeper look. Metroplus Health has health insurance you need at virtually no cost to you. Please also call the hotline and take a look at the options that New York City Care can afford. So stay healthy. There is another section in the guide where we are discussing a little bit more about how students can take care of themselves, physical activity, healthy sleep habits, eye health, and reproductive and sexual health. So comprehensive sexual reproductive health services are included in many, if not all, of the CUNY campuses. So these are resources that you can definitely access at your wellness center, or you can look it up where it's exactly located at your campus. However, when it comes to physical activity, the increase of the remote online classes and working from home means that students are they are sitting a lot more than usual. They are probably less likely to exercise, less likely to walk to the train, go to school. So there are some resources included in the guide where we are, promoting physical activities such as walking, jogging, yoga, where you can access some of these free classes online. Another important part of being healthy is a healthy sleep habit. One of the most important things that you can do for yourself and to stay healthy is to do well in school. And as well as against COVID, is to establish a good sleep habit, and getting enough sleep supports the immune system, which can help you avoid and fight off infection and just support your academic success as well. Eye health is a part that we should all take a little bit more seriously, I believe, especially since we are all glued to front of the computer even in this very second. So excessive electronic screen time, PCs, laptops, smartphones, tablets, not only disrupt sleep, but can also damage your eyesight. So blue light exposure may increase the risk for macular degeneration, damaging light-sensitive cells in the retina, and the cause of headaches and migraines. And let me move on to the next slide. So supporting students' essential needs. Behind all of these, parts, how we can take care of them, how we can take care of ourselves, there is another part that I specifically work with Healthy CUNY to improve this. There are students that I was in class with who could not afford or did not know where the next meal is going to come from. So I am proud to be part of the university that went and offered that to students. So CUNY is offering these resources and making sure that students have available food resources as well. But before I move on to that, unfortunately, these are only some of the some of the schools that I included on this slide, but please reach out to your campus because there is some food resources available at your campus as well. And if you can't find that, I will share Healthy CUNY resources with you just in a second. So food insecurity among CUNY students in 2018 and 2020, 2 months into the pandemic, you can see the increase in people who cut or skipped meals due to the lack of money they had, or even more so worried that they would run out of food before they could, or they would be able to buy more. So this is definitely something that's really concerning. I would like to talk a little bit about SNAP, is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which I specifically work with Healthy CUNY to promote this around CUNY students. SNAP is a governmental benefit program that is issued electronically and can be used to purchase food. You can purchase bread, cereal, fruits, vegetables, meats, fish, dairy products, so anything technically from a grocery store that is food or grocery. SNAP distributes a monthly benefit amount to low-income households in order to purchase food items at participating supermarkets and grocery stores. In order to qualify for SNAP, students enroll in part-time, full-time education, are generally required to engage in work activities for an average of 20 hours weekly. So before I move on, I want to also let you know that SNAP eligibility for college students has expanded during the pandemic, but expansion is set to the end of the summer. We are partnering with Swipe Out Hunger. If you are not familiar with Swipe Out Hunger, it's a California-based nonprofit where they are working with colleges, college campuses to promote food security throughout the population of college students, and make sure that those students enrolled in classes, they have their essential needs covered. So if you're a CUNY student and need help with groceries, Students Food Navigator are available for you to help. So please take a note of this phone number and text food, or you can also visit swipeouthunger.org/CUNYSSN. So I'm just going to give you a minute if you would like to write down this information. You can also scan the QR code on the corner. There are additional campus food security resources. This is something that I just mentioned before. You can find a directory of CUNY food pantries on your campus and their contact information. These food pantries are usually not open all 5 days, but please look them up and visit them or email them and make sure that they know that you are interested, and I'm sure they are going to get back to you as soon as possible. So please try to get in touch with them if you are in need. You may also find support using the services provided by your student affairs office. You can find the office contact on your campus website. So please, again, get in touch with them. They are there for you with the resources that you need. Another issue that we've been seeing around CUNY campuses are homelessness and housing instability. In the spring of 2020 survey on the effects of COVID-19 on CUNY students, about 50% of the students reported that they have some worries about losing current housing due to COVID. Additionally, about 54% of students who had to withdraw from classes last semester said it was because they needed to focus on basic needs like housing and food. So housing insecurity definitely poses a threat to academic success of CUNY students. How can one expect a student to succeed when they have, constantly worry about where they are going to sleep at the same night? So this information that I showed you above has increased in the past year since, this was from 2020, the beginning of COVID-19. It did decrease from 49 to 38% in 2021, but it's still a problem for many of the CUNY students. 38% is still a large number. These are resources that are included in the guide, and there is a lot more. So please, if you are facing any of these problems, go and visit these resources. In the guide, these are actually links, so you can just open them and click on them, and then it's going to take you to the actual site. These students describe to stress of their financial insecurity. There are many students who are in need of money, not only for housing or food, but to pay bills, pay for gas, pay for their phone bills, make sure that they have stable Wi-Fi from home. And many of them are extremely worried about these payments and just, their basic needs. There are some financial resources available for these students. Just to mention a few: emergency grants and loans, financial aid, HRA program, and there are temporary aid to needy families program. Please, again, take a look in the guide and use these resources that are available for you. In the next section, I'm going to talk a little bit about the unique needs of CUNY students. However, before I do that, I want to give you another chance to please stop me if you have any questions or comments, or if you would just like to add anything. And also feel free to do that in the chat. And thank you, Patty, for adding all of these informations. So this next section examines the distinct needs of CUNY student populations. These include students who are also parents or caregivers of children under 18, immigrant students, international students, those who live in another country but came here to study, students with disabilities, LGBTQI students, and students who are also working, especially working at low-wage job as essential workers. So there are some more resources in the next slides for specifically these student populations. So for student parents, here are some free and low-cost childcare services, and some information about childcare services at CUNY campuses. Please visit these links and find what would work best for you. Immigrants and international students. There are more than 85,000 CUNY students who were born outside of the United States. There are some resources also available for undocumented students, such as CUNY Citizenship Now and CUNY Clear Project. As I said before, if you go on the guide, you can just click on these links and it will take you straight to the page. LGBTQI plus students, the NYC Unity Project conducted a survey of NYC LGBTQ program and service providers to create an up-to-date comprehensive resource guide to LGBTQ students. So again, the LGBTQ plus resource hub is available for students, and the national hotline if they are facing any issues at all. There are also some information for students with disabilities. CUNY Disability Services is available at every campus. In the guide, you can find the link to this, economic and employment resources, and more tips from the CDC. Find more information on tips for people with disabilities. Overcoming racism and discrimination. There is a few pages about how we can support each other, especially at the difficult times such as this pandemic. And one of the most important part is to be aware of your rights. So we all need to know and use the rights previous generations fought for. So some of them are included in this slide. However, the last portion of that, and something that I would like to mention as well, is the advocacy as making good trouble for a better USA, New York, and CUNY. So this section provides information and resources that will help you become your own advocate and advocate for making CUNY a place where you and other students like you can survive, and not only survive, but succeed. So what can students advocates at CUNY do to better their own and other lives? So no single job description fits the role of every student advocate, but these are some common actions and advocates could engage in. So learn about the system, find someone, a staff person in your campus office of students affairs responsible for responding to student complaints, and explain your problem and ask for help in finding solutions. Identify others who share problems with you and bring them together to find common solution, and consider forming an ongoing group. Learn all you can. Develop an educational campaign on your campus that will help students find what they need, services that they need, such as emergency food, how to enroll in SNAP, where to get contraceptives, abortion, or other sexual health services. Create a safe space, virtual or physical, where students can meet, share concerns, and develop solutions and problems they face. Run for student office through the University Senate. You can see a link below in the guide as well, and vote in the city, state, and national election, and encourage friends, family, and coworkers to vote as well. And that would be it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Patty, for sharing our emails as well. If you have any problems finding the links or any questions about the presentation or about Healthy CUNY, please reach out to any of us.
Thank you, Fanny. That was wonderful. I wanted to open it up if anyone has any questions they wanted to ask right now or comments. Don't be shy.
Also, if any questions come up later, once you take a look at the guide, you can also reach out to any of us.
And it's definitely long. I warned y'all. So it's definitely long. But again, you don't have to go through cover to cover. Definitely use it, at your leisure. And I would encourage you, especially our public health students, to familiarize yourself with the guide and share it with your peers and with student groups and with your families. and just be familiar with the resources that are there, so that we can, so that, as a public health professional, you can be a resource for those around you. And this is just one resource. There's lots of other things out there. It's, this isn't the be all and end all, but we did want to put together something that was, put together by students and with other CUNY students in mind. And we hope that those of you who are listening will familiarize yourself with it and share it out. So thank you. Any questions or comments? Also, if you have questions or comments as you're going through it, you can email us.
One thing I just wanted to add, I believe we forgot to tell them a little trick in the beginning, is that if you are interested in any of the chapters, you don't need to scroll through the entire guide. You can just click at the very beginning and it's going to take you immediately to the section that you are interested in. So it's a very easy to use guide.
That's great.
Yeah, I just want to thank you so much for creating this guide. It's so comprehensive and so considerate of CUNY students and with undocumented students. And I think that is a section that I'm definitely interested in learning more about. So thank you so much to everyone that's and I'm glad that more students are going to know about it. We're having some really great comments in the chat also. Students are saying they're going to share it with their friends and teammates. They love the work you do. So great.
That's great. That's great to hear. And thank you, Ebenezer. And Ebenezer is one of our new Healthy CUNY advocates that's just getting started from Lehman College. If you want to learn about the Healthy CUNY advocates, go to the website. Great student peer advocacy work going on. So thank you for the comment. So, all right, well, if there are no other questions or comments, I think we could wrap it up. And thank you. Oh yeah, Sherry, there are a couple more events this week for the CUNY Graduate School of Public Health and Health Policy Student Wellness Week, the inaugural Wellness Week. This is the first time doing it, and all of the events are remote, but we're also opening up the events to all CUNY students, and one of the events is actually open to students, faculty, and staff of CUNY. It's a screening of a really cool film that I got to see a preview of, and I'm blanking on the name of it right now, but it's in the link that Sherry just sent. And
it's born to be, Patty.
Born to be, yeah.
It's on transgender.
It's on, transgender medical care.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really very powerful. Definitely recommend if you can view that on Friday. So go to the link and you can sign up for any of those events, and feel free to share it out too. Good. All right. Well, thank you all.
Thank you all for being here, and please do share.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.